Today, what's up, guys? How y'all doing? It's that BGM regrind. Look how sick that grind is, man. I wish I could grind like that. One day, maybe. I'll get there. Got an interesting week. Some good, some bad, some fails, some new stuff. So, first off, let me introduce Sherman. He's a white Pyrenees pup. We just got him Friday. So, you know, I'd love to say I'd have more time to... Let me say him down there. Love to say I have more time to do knife grinds and stuff, but he's probably going to consume a good bit of time. Wife's already kind of got anxiety about the whole puppy thing, but you know, when you already have animals, it's easier to give puppies than dogs, and everybody gets along. And yeah, he's good. We wore him out pretty good on the walk. Anyhow, enough of the personal stuff. Let's get into the knives. So last week I was telling you about. Well, I think I showed you the half track, but I didn't show you the 18 lefty that Carco sent. So I'm gonna put that video right here of me reviewing those. So it's later Sunday, same I guess would it be last week now. I already showed you guys the half track. I still ain't got the action down on that, but I did the hollow ground on it. And this lefty, which now I understand, man, like if you're trying to finger flick, I get why lefties have a hard time doing it right, because I can't do this to save my life, to get my thumb out of the way, flick it, hold it with the pinky, and I just can't do it. But anyway, long story short, we got a hollow in this one now too, all the way up, kind of in the realm of the slicer. Sorry, it's a little oily, but I'm about to ship these back to Carco Chris. I figured I'd just show them both off real quick. So that's his two Hinderers. And while I was at it, I told him he kind of got me started on a little kick there, so I just took the 24, and yeah, I went ahead and reground my 24 too. So kind of the same thing, a little more of a slicer style. Maybe slightly different on this one. That's kind of more a little upswept on it. But anyway, just want to show you guys those Hinderers real quick. So yeah, it's pretty happy how all those Hinderers came out. Like the 24 to me, like if you look, especially when you look at it like this, like it almost looks like a custom 24, don't it? I mean, I think so anyhow. This is the Mercado scale now. It's a Hinderer scale, but a while back, I don't think it was this one. No, it wasn't this one. It was the other 24 I got that I think Will owns now. I got from Mitch Bowling, and he had this scale on it. It's a Mercado Hinderer scale. So I don't know. I'm rather full time, but like right now, I'm like, you know, let's try the Mercado scale, see what happens. And I actually put the 18, the blue 18. It's only 18 I got left now. I put a Mercado scale on it too, just for the hell of it. Let's see where we're gonna go from here. Okay. Paul sent a few in. So before I even get into the knives that Paul sent, so I'm gonna just overall say it again so that everybody knows. If y'all gonna send me something, don't send it signature required. Paul didn't, but someone else sent something that didn't get delivered yesterday because I'm never here to sign for it. So unfortunately, whoever sent something FedEx signature required, I'm probably not gonna get it, man. It sucks, but it just is what it is. I'll figure it out. We'll figure out how to get it, but these are on the win column again. So both these, well, let's start with the ZT. 801. So everybody's seen the 801s. What did I do with this note? Is that the right note? That's Daniel's note, I think. Yeah, it's Daniel's note. I don't know where the note went. Sorry. So anyway, I don't really know Paul. I haven't really commented a ton with him, so I don't know like what he does with his knives and that sort of thing. I think he found me through John Evans. Well, it's John, thank you, man, but all good, man. I appreciate you. Paul wanted this ground with a hollow ground and also wanted a trigger pull style finger choil in it. So this is what the 801s turned into, which I think pretty much did exactly what he wanted. He said he wasn't worried about the running into the riding seat. See, I kind of undercut that ZT. Where it says ZT right there, a little undercut, and then all the writing over here is ran into. I'd offered him to, as Mike would say, the sideways satin. I offered him to do the sideways satin on this. He didn't. He said he liked it as is. So I was like, all right, cool, whatever. I think it would have given it a little more of a custom look with the sideways satin. But hey, we all like what we like. So talked to Paul. He has some damn good edges on these knives. Come to find out, I'm pretty sure Kyle did these edges for Paul, which is cool. So he's already a customer of Kyle's. But he said he didn't have the cash for it, so I just headed through a belt sharpening on this. And just for the hell of it, so we got paper sitting right here anyhow. Let's cut a little piece to see if I did it good. If I can do it on camera. Well, I can't do it on camera apparently. Something about getting a camera. There you go. So it's sharp. It's not
like the best edge ever because it's a belt sharpened edge. But you know, the knife itself actually, by taking the weight out of the blade, made it feel much snappier. Actually impressed with the way this one turned out because now it's pretty dang thin at the edge and nice and workable. Like, I think you'll be happy with this, Paul. Just let me know how that works out for you, man. And this one I've never handled before. It's the ProTech. Is this the PT? I don't know. Is it? I think it must be the PT. I don't think it's the S&G style. There's two of these ProTech makes, the Strider versions. But he said the same thing. He wanted a hollow ground on this one, so same thing on this one. Other than I took a little bit of liberties in the grind design of it, and then I also put belt sharpener on this one as well. But pretty happy with that one come out. Both these created a little bit of a challenge just for me, but in a different way. These little knives are actually harder to work on than the big knives, so you got to kind of pre-plan how you're going to do stuff because there's not a whole lot of movement in there. With a big knife, you got lots of movement, and the lots of movement is kind of what I'm used to in the thicker blades too. So like this one's kind of fairly thin as it is. So to do a hollow grade on something that's already fairly thin, at least for my standards anyhow. But I think this one turned out pretty good, man. It's sharp as well. I don't know, do I need to start cutting paper again? I think paper cutting is like a little bit of a overdone thing, but yeah, it cuts paper. So my edge on that one too. I think Paul's gonna end up sending these to Kyle to get sharpened, which I would personally too if they were my knives and you wanted to keep them pristine. I'd probably go ahead and take that extra step or use them until they dull up and then send them, whatever you want to work it. Yeah, so I've been practicing belt sharpening as I mentioned. So like this is a Lowe's knife, which is Dave Lowe's, a local knife maker here in Tucson. I put a little edge on his knife. It's kind of more one that I don't know. I tried the whole pocket fixed blade thing for a while. Like I used to carry this one all the time. This Benchmade, you can see it's kind of wore out. I actually did a regrind on this one too. I messed up a little bit, but overall, like I haven't even looked at it since. Yeah, okay, it's not that bad. I haven't looked at it since I did it, and I wasn't super happy with it. But these from the factory, so I did the hollow down here, and then I did this flat, and then did an edge on top of that to where this whole top edge now is sharpened. So hopefully you can see everything I did, and kind of had to match the final edge, the secondary bevel. Try to make those two match. So it matched good on one side and not as well on the other side. I don't know if you can see it or not. Not quite as good on the secondary bevel on that one. But I think that's more of me learning how to sharpen on the belt. But I did this basically to learn that. But I don't even know why I did it because honestly, I never touched this knife. So I know Billy and Courtney were talking about using knives with the serrations. But maybe I'll send it their way. Maybe they got some use out of it or something. I don't know. Billy, Courtney, you see this, let me know. And also one more I was practicing on. Steel Capital. He used to do that torture test on his videos. This one came off one of his torture tests. So I did not do the damage on this one. He did it. I haven't really even touched this one other than just sharpen it up. Like when I got it, he said he sharpened it. It wasn't done to my standards. So I started sharpening it with like a Lansky or something like that. I can't remember what I did. And then I just got too tedious for me. So I figured it's a good one to put on the belt and practice. And I think that came out pretty well too. And shit, I think we got a little paper left. Let's see how it did. If I can get it to start. Ow! About cut myself right there. But yeah, not bad. I did cut myself a little bit. Damn. But yeah, once again, like I'm not really a fixed blade guy. I ain't got a whole lot of use for this thing. So I don't know. It'll probably sit around for a while. Maybe I'll throw that Billy Courtney's way too. Let's see what else. Okay, so I always talk about good things, and sometimes there's got to be bad things, right? It's just the nature of the beast. You know, everything can't always be rainbow and sunshine. It can't. So I've videotaped this all in sequence to do it, but I was hoping this would be like a detent tutorial, but it turned out wrong at the end. I did the right things, the right steps. I'm going to include that video. We'll splice, it's a bunch of videos. I'm going to splice it all in together, and then I'll kind of conclude it at the end here in a sec.
All right, so we've been talking about detent the last couple of weeks. This one came from Dan over at Pointy End. If you hadn't seen his YouTube, I highly suggest go over watching it. But this one has a problem. This first problem we'll see is detent rock. Well, let's see if I can make it rocket. There you go. So it's got detent rock. Let's see if I turn this sideways to make it better sense. Okay, you can all see that, right? The blade moving as I'm manipulating that flipper tab. And then it really doesn't have a detent, so oops. It just comes right on out. There's really nothing to it detent wise. So there's definitely a problem with detent. He had already sent this back in to whoever fixes them here stateside. I think they popped a new detent in it, but basically told him that the rest of it's pretty much as is. There's not really a whole lot they can do for them. And I'm pretty sure, almost positive, that he got this one used for a good deal if you watch his video on it. And if not, I suggest you go watch it. So we're going to pop it apart, take a couple measurements, see if we can't work on this detent. This is the first J-cape I ever handled, so I guess I get to evaluate the J-cape as well. All right, so we got the J-cape blown apart now. So I like the construction of it pretty good. I mean, it's a pretty typical size pivot. Well, let's see if I can get this right here. I was measuring depth a second ago. These are janky calipers, by the way, but 236, which I believe that's 5 millimeters, if I'm not mistaken. So a 5 millimeter, which is a decent size pivot. And you got basically a washer that sits on top of the titanium, and your bearings, which look like they're a cheaper cage, but they're ceramic, so no, not bad. If it'll focus. Anyway, they're ceramic ball bearings. Pins that hold the construction in the back, which I like, thread from each side, and then solid backspacer. So I like construction pretty good. You know, stop pin kind of board. Pretty typical of everything. Lock bar insert. So I did a few measurements off camera. You see they got the lock bar insert out already, and this is the back side. This is the detent side. So you can see the detent is actually, so I believe, let's see if I can get this thing to focus here on me. I guess it's gonna focus. Come on, man, focus. Let's do the zoom thing. I guess if it ain't gonna focus, let's see if we can slide this over a little bit and make it zoom. Sorry, just bear with me a second here. All right, there we go. So the detent itself actually looks pretty good. You can see it standing proud. It looks like a pretty new detent. It's not flat spotted or anything like that. So I went ahead and measured it off camera. Let me zoom back out so I can explain this all to you. So the install height basically from the edge to the top of that was 28.5 thou. So this is a 0.62 ball. So like the most you're ever gonna have it sticking out is maybe 0.31. You would push it a little bit, you maybe go a little higher, but like you're basically within a couple thou of being exactly where I want to be on this installed height. So this isn't going to change a whole lot in this scenario. So I did, just for the heck of it, flip it over to make sure there was a through hole through it. So you remember I showed you that Rogovitz last week that wasn't through hole. This one is. So this one is drilled all the way through with 0.55 hole. So you can basically get in there with, I'm gonna use a pin and just push that detent out. You can get it out if you want to get it out, so I can manipulate this lock bar insert. But the more interesting thing to me was the blade, and I'm gonna have to put it over here and zoom in on it real quick so you can so it makes sense to you. All right, so this is the more interesting part of the two. So it's not always one side or the other, but this particular case it definitely is. So if you look at this size hole, let's see if I can even get that lock bar insert in the same frame as this. Let's see, there we go. There we go. So I don't know if you can see it on camera or not, but you can see how small that is compared to that hole. So I knew right away as soon as I saw this hole, either something's been manipulated on this hole or something definitely went wrong. It's hard to see on video, but maybe you can, maybe you can't. But there's like a lead-in style chamfer. It looks to me like someone took a Dremel and kind of, you know, smoothed that over right there. Either way, it doesn't really matter what has happened. It's what's done right now. So, and what we have. So this hole now is a 0.76. Well, the ball itself is 0.62, but it's not even sticking up enough to even be that. Yeah, you know, it's basically sitting right under 60 thousandths, like 59 thousandths in the diameter right now to fold this in. So that's always going to have, it's going to jingle jangle back and forth, and that's what the blade play we saw was at the beginning. Luckily, it's only counterbore down 23 thousandths, so it's not a huge thing. And then the through hole for this whole thing is 0.52. So basically, I can take a pin from this back side, you know, on this side, and push if I needed to push or anything like that. But it was drilled through and then it was reamed. I'm not sure if, there you go. You can see that chamfer right there. You see how that was done? I doubt seriously that ever was done, you know, unintentionally. That looks like an intentional kind of thing to me. It's only on that one side. It's nowhere else in the whole thing. If you look inside of it, you can see that shiny little spot down in there. That's the lead in from the reamer. So this was reamed to this 0.76 size. So we got to come up with a way to make this detent bigger to fit in that, and then see if we have any clearance issues in between it. So what I'm gonna do is reassemble the knife, and I'm gonna check how much clearance we have, but basically between the frame and the blade when it's assembled, to see if we have enough room to install an or a 2mm ball, I guess. I was gonna say 5/64, but it's pretty much the same size. To see if we can install bigger detent in this to make it fill that hole, to get rid of that detent lash, and hopefully give Dan some detent. So hang on a second, let's go back to it. All right, so this is what I meant about the detent. So when the detent rolls up on the blade, so right now it's only sticking out 28.5 thou. You can see there's not a whole lot of clearance between these two pieces. So when I install a bigger detent, it's going to make this lock bar over travel, come out more in order to lock up into the blade and make the blade work. But what's the worst of two evils? This, with all this slop in it and not really a detent, or the blade coming up? So, you know, there is an over travel stop built in there, so hopefully this will be able to work. You know, if I extend this all the way out, do I have more clearance? Will it come up more? It will. I don't know how much more it will. So this is going to be a trial and error kind of thing, and see if we can't make this detent work. We may have to do more work on the inside of this knife. I don't know, but hopefully that, you see that over travel, how it over travels? Hopefully that enough travel will allow that detent ball, the bigger size detent ball, to stick out more, so it can fill that hole in the blade more and make a positive detent. And that's kind of what I was getting at. All right, let's see what I can work on it for a minute and come back and see if I can show you something. So it's just a quick shot of this is the insert, and that's the little hole. See if I can show you. Anyway, I just machined that hole. I just want to kind of show you basically what I did. Let's go back out for a second. So you can see I made this, I got this little jig, I just put it on there. Open that hole up so I can press the detent ball in there. All right.
All right, so as you saw, like, sometimes best laid plans don't work out, you know, like, just part of it. Like a steel insert pressing a ceramic ball, you got to guess how much of a press fit you're going to use. All steels are slightly different, how much they're going to press. It's hardened already, but how hard is it? You kind of don't know that either. So it was a guessing game on my part, and I basically should have drilled the hole out a little bit bigger before I tried to press that detent ball in. I was like 4 thousandths from where I needed to be. I put a little more pressure on it, and it, boom, just blew up. So like, it was just right there at it. I probably, you know, a thou and a half too big, I guess, or too small in the hole. Shit happens, man. So I'm gonna, if anybody knows where I can get a insert for a JK, let me know. I put word to Felix already, and he's told me to contact some Chris dude, but I don't know who he is, and I asked for contact information, haven't got anything yet. So I'm hoping I can get a replacement insert. If I can't get a replacement insert, I might make one. See if I can talk here. I might make one myself to try to put in there. Be a couple obstacles in doing so, because I don't have the equipment, so I need a CMM to actually get the pattern of it, to draw it up in the CAD CAM software. I used to use the software at the work, so if they're cool enough to let me go in there and do that stuff, I can probably get that done. If they're not, then, you know, I don't have that stuff available to me as a, you know, personal level. So I don't know that I'm going to be able to do it other than to do one by hand, which I'm not afraid to do that either. I might try to do that. So hopefully we'll rectify it. If Daniel let me keep that knife, so you know, hopefully it'll all work out. I just wanted to kind of include it because sometimes shit goes awry, but you have to have a plan, I guess in case that does go awry, what happened. Like, I wasn't anticipating it breaking it. I mean, I knew it was a possibility. I just didn't anticipate it. But anyway, it was an attempt to fix the JK, which pretty much already had an issue, but now I gave it a bigger issue. So hopefully I'll be able to do something with it, so at least Dan can carry and use it a little bit. Hopefully I'll make a good knife in the end. But yeah, that saga is going to continue apparently. So I guess for this week, we're going to call it done. I know probably end up being a 20-minute video anyhow, but I don't feel like I just sat down. What else? Yeah, I'm gonna call it. We'll call it there. So y'all be cool. See you next week. Later, y'all.